Morning, it's me, Carl Welshman, and today I'm going to be making pizza dough. It's going to be a long video, might be a few quiet spots in there, but thought you might like to see how Carl Welshman makes a pizza dough. I'm pretty much using a recipe that I found online. There's so many different recipes, but it's simple to make, alright? Now, maybe make yourself a cup of tea. I got myself a beast of a cuppa, which I'll be sipping on in the middle of, or during making this. So, cheers, dickheads. Okay, so what we need for this is, we need 500 grams of bread flour, a little bit of yeast, Tesco Fast Action, they work good. I did get some yeast from Sainsbury's, and it seemed to be shit. It just didn't fucking do anything. So yeah, so flour, yeast, salt, water, bit of olive oil. I use the olive oil. Sometimes I put a bit of olive oil into the mix, but I also put it into the bowl to keep it greasy as well. So, okay, so 500 grams of strong bread flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 sachet of yeast, 325 millilitres of warm water, and then I put a little bit of sugar in that water because I like to check the yeast, because there's nothing worse than making your dough and finding out that your Sainsbury's yeast is shite, absolutely shite. Looks a bit small, doesn't it? So it's 6:25 on a Saturday morning. Let's just get this on there. Tar. There we go. Tar. Let's get our flour in. I've got a bit of flour left here. I'm hoping that this might be enough and I don't have to open this fresh one. But yeah, you can use bread flour or 00 flour. Come on. Oh, 489, 495, 499, 501. Shit. It doesn't matter. We've gone over by one single gram. Okay, so there's our 500 grams of flour. 500 grams of flour there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the yeasty water ready. So we're looking at 325 millilitres of warm water. It can't be too hot. It can't be too hot, all right? Don't be making it too hot. Let's bring you out here a little bit. So let's stay in this bloody kitchen. Bloody mess it is. Bloody mess. So use some hot water from the kettle because I just made a cuppa. Yeah. Let it run a bit, because otherwise you get all that shit that was in the water or left in the pipes from before. You don't want it too cold either. Oh, that feels good. That feels like a good heat. So I've gone just over. What we got here? Here we go. We got about 320. Let's bring you back here. There you go. Bring you a little closer. Bring you a little closer. There we go. Right. So I'm going to put about a teaspoon of sugar into my non-yeasty water. About a teaspoon of sugar into my water. Give that a little mix, make sure you got it all nicely dissolved. Here we go. That's spinning around nicely. Let's get the fast action yeast. And tip this yeast in. Here we go. So that's our friends, the yeasts, into the water now. Now use a chopstick to stir it. You can use whatever you want, but I like using a chopstick. Good old mix around. Let's just leave it for a little. It's actually already kicking off in there. It's already kicking off. Just leave it. I like to put a towel over when I'm leaving it because that'll keep keep the heat in there. And also they get a bit of privacy. Gotta let the yeast have some privacy. Shh, don't want to wake them. At this point, I'm gonna have a little sip of my tea. Little sip of tea. Ah, it's looking shit outside today. Why does that happen? Do you know, it's been pretty sunny all week. And then you get to the weekend and it's just shit. It's all fucking cloudy and grey out there. Right, so we've got our flour here. Now, with the flour, we have to put in a teaspoon of salt. A teaspoon of salt in there. If you don't put salt into your dough, right, into your dough recipe, it tastes pretty fucking bland. It can taste gross. I also like to put in, let's have a look, a little bit of dried oregano as well, because it just gives the dough a bit of flavour. You know, so 2 teaspoons of dried oregano. Okay, that's in there. Nice. Let me just clean up here because I want a bit of space. Now, what you might have noticed is I got this big old rubbery mat here, and I used to use it when I made pizza. It used to be something I used to keep on the top here because it was quite handy for making sure I didn't get flour everywhere. However, it's also really quite irritating when you're kneading the dough and the mat keeps being lifted up all the time as well. So I use it now just predominantly because I'm a messy bastard and I usually get stuff everywhere, you know, especially when I'm working with flour and all. So I just use it for that now. And once I start mixing the dough or kneading the dough, I'm going to probably take the mat away. Okay, so look at that. There we go. Salty herbiness. Let's have a little peep. Yes, yes, yes. You beautiful yeasty bastards. Let me see if I can bring that over. There you go. Bubbly, bubbly as you like. We're ready to rock. We're gonna just tip this in. Okay, so you can do the initial mix. Let me just zoom in a little. That's the wrong one, Carl. There we go. Let me just turn that around. So you can do our initial mix with this, just to incorporate it. Or if you prefer, like me, just get your hands in there. Just get your hands in there. Slush it around a bit. Okay. It's a messy process, but it's a fun one. dough. Dough. That's what Homer Simpson says, doesn't he? Homer Simpson. He's a funny man. What are you all doing out there today? Probably going out with some friends, maybe a coffee or something. I'm not. I'm having pizza. So I like to make pizza nice and early in the morning. Scrape some of this off. I like to make the pizza early in the morning because you can actually just leave the dough for its first proof for most of the day, up until about 2 hours before you need it. As in 2 hours before you're making your pizzas. And at that point, once you get to the point of thinking, I want to have pizzas for dinner at 7 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock, what you're going to do is, as long as your dough is proven up nicely and risen, what you're actually going to do then is split it into 3 balls or 4 balls. I'm going to split this one into 4 balls. Recently I've been splitting it into 3. And, oh God, I'm making a mess of this. I don't usually make it quite as messy as this. Let's get rid of this mat so we can start working on the surface. And bring that over here. Bring you over here too. And then we can see what we're working with. Got a bit more. Here we go. Okay, we're a bit strandy. I'm sure there's loads of tips out there on how to deal with your hands being covered in flour, but I don't care. It comes off as you're working through the dough. There's lots of different dough techniques out there for kneading, but the main thing is you got to put effort in. What you're trying to do is you're trying to stretch out, causing glutinous fibres within your mix. It's all about stretching and keeping it full of energy. You're passing on your energies into the dough. Here we go, we're getting there. And it's quite sticky. See, if I used my mat that I use to stop me getting bloody flour everywhere, the mat would be getting lifted and shunted, and it's so fucking annoying. It's so annoying when that happens. Okay. So you see, when it comes to ingredients for a pizza dough, you don't need much. Really don't need much. If you're making a traditional, what is it, Neapolitan? Is that what it's called? I don't know. Is that an ice cream? Might be both. Yeah, I mean the traditional one, I shouldn't have even put sugar in, but I genuinely, once you put all this work in to make a dough, you don't want it to be getting to a point where it's not rising. See, what's going to happen is when I finish kneading this dough, we're going to leave it sit. So it's 6:30 now. So I'll leave it sitting until maybe I'm on pizza at about 5. So I'll leave it to rise until about 3 o'clock. And you don't want to get to 3 o'clock and see that your dough hasn't risen. One of the other disadvantages we got here is that we don't live in a warm country, or I don't live in a warm country. So my kitchen or my rooms don't get that warm. And with the price of fuel these days, who can afford to even have heating and warm water and electricity even. You can feel the heat, I can feel it. Just putting that in. It's a funny thing, pizza making. You'll find a lot of videos online, a lot of professionals, you know, that swear by all these different techniques. And I have experimented with different doughs and different ways of even making this dough. And my best results have actually just come from this. And also, when I leave the dough to slow proof in the fridge, like you can get your dough, and what you can do is, after I've sort of finished making it here, like kneading it, you can split it into portions and put it in the fridge. You put it in portions of about, you'd split this dough into about 3 or 4. The idea being that on the day you want to make pizza then, say maybe 2 or 3 days, you take it out of the fridge a couple of hours before you're due to make pizza, and it will continue to rise. But I've not had good results from that. My best results have come from basically thinking to myself, I want pizza for dinner tonight. I'm going to make pizza dough this morning. So I'm going to do this for about another 10 minutes. After which, I'll put in this greasy bowl. So I'm going to stop things there because I don't think you're going to want to watch me continuously knead for another 10 minutes. But yeah, there's going to be a second part to this, probably a lot shorter, where I take the dough and I stick it in this bowl greased up and we put it in the room out the way. All right. Ta-da.